Hey guys, I got another video on this 2019 Ford F-350 with the 6.7 liter Power Stroke diesel. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the crankcase ventilation box, and I'm actually going to be upgrading that to the newer style one that is on the 2023 and 2024 Super Duties. So you want to go ahead and pop your hood. So once you get your hood open, go ahead and locate your dipsticks here. You got your oil fill cap and then your fuel filter. And then right behind your fuel filter, this is going to be your crankcase ventilation box. And if you notice, there is a large line coming off of that going into your intake there. Now, to make this probably easier, I'm thinking that we're gonna probably want to remove these 3 fuel lines from your fuel filter, because there's 4 bolts holding that crankcase ventilation box in. You got 2 in the back and then 2 kind of in the front here. So yeah, I think it's gonna be easier if we just disconnect these real quick. So what you wanna do is just grab yourself a rag here. We just want to collect any of this fuel once we start disconnecting these lines. So we'll start out with this one with the red tab on it. So with this one, all you got to do is just kind of lift up on it. And then on the sides here, you're going to pinch it. And if you have to turn it, you can. But you're going to pinch those and then just pull back on it. So just like that. You can see not really any fuel came out of that one. Now let's do this blue one here. So the blue one, you got a tab here on top. You're going to kind of bring this one back and then just kind of push outward, but you got the same thing on the bottom portion here. So get your other finger under here. So I'm pulling back on that and then push towards the front of the truck there. So you can see that kind of releases that one. So let's try and see how much fuel comes out of this one. So now we got that one released. Kind of rotate that out of the way so you can see that one did have some fuel that did come out of there. And then go underneath this one here. And for this one, you can just kind of take these and push them back towards the back of the truck here, just like that. And let's go ahead and pop that one off. So you can see that one probably had the most fuel in it. So just let that kind of soak up in your rag there so you don't make a huge mess. And let's get those out of the way here. Now, if you want to, probably save you a little more room as well if we just go ahead and take this out. And I'm going to do that just to give you guys better camera angles in here. So let me just set that there because that's still kind of leaking. So then what you'll do is you'll just go ahead and turn this towards the back of the truck here. And when you get that turned towards the back, you can just go ahead and lift up on it. Just watch out because there will be some more fuel coming out of it. So now let's go ahead and see if we can get this long tube going into the intake off of there. So there is like looks like a little plastic or rubber piece that kind of covers up the clips that we need to access in order to pop that off of there. So I'm just going to take a pick here and get up under this rubber portion of this. Let's just see if we can maybe peel this back some to give us access to those clips there. If not, I may have to just cut this off. Trying to give you guys the best angle here, but you can see that piece is already ripping anyways, so see if I can just kind of rip this some more. Because Ford says that these are one-time use anyways, and we won't be going back to this one, so if we damage it, no big deal. I'm just kind of tearing this piece off here, because that's all that is just a protector. So once you get that kind of tore off, just kind of peel that back here and get that out of your way. So that's what that looks like. So now with that off of there, that exposes these little clips holding this on. So if you notice, there's a clip right here. I get my pick in here to show you. So you can see this little clip right here. There's a total of 3 of those holding this onto the intake there, and you need to have all 3 open in order to slide this off. which can be a challenge. So I'm gonna try and pull out on all 3 of these clips first. If that doesn't work, then we're probably just gonna have to maybe break these off of here, since we're not gonna be using this anyways. And like I said, Ford said this is a one-time use anyways. I'm hoping that we don't have to remove the intercooler pipe here, but that's super easy. If we do, we can just remove it from the turbo there. So let me see if I can maybe just get my pick kind of stuck in here. So if I can get it stuck in there to where that doesn't go back in there, so maybe something like that, and I'll come on the back side here. Let's see if we can do the same thing with my other pick. And I just don't know how we're gonna access the bottom one there, but let's give it a shot. So not sure how well you guys can see this, but the other one you can see is just right kind of on top almost, so right there. So got both of those kind of shoved in there. Let me just pull on this and see if maybe it'll come out here. You can see you can turn it, but just wants to get, those clips just want to go straight back in there. And that third one is probably going to be super hard to access, like I said. So if I can get it like that, but that's not working either. So I think what we're gonna have to do is let's just go ahead and see if we can break these off of here. So like I said, you can turn this, you can see. So if you need to turn this, let's see if we can just snap this off of here with your pick. So if you can bend them out like that. So that one's kind of bent out. Now let's see if we can turn this. Get a little better access to this other one here. See if I can do kind of the same thing, just bend it out without it breaking. So that one's kind of bent out. Okay. Let's see if I can turn this some more now. Just go a little more because that seems like that's falling back down in there. And it's just hard getting my camera in here for you guys. See if I can take a flat head here. So there we go. So now those two are kind of bent out of the way. Just see if I can just maybe pull on it and get lucky here. So yeah, there's still that third one holding it on in there. So let me see if I can get a good camera angle on that one. Okay guys, so not sure if you guys can see that. In my mirror there, you can see my pick going that way, and I'm underneath that clip now. So I'm thinking that's probably enough. So let me see if now I can, because you can see this kind of shooted towards the front there, that little collar on there. So let's see if that'll work. There we go, pull that off. And just like that. Get the pick out of here and I'll show you guys. So if you notice, up here. So that's the one I bent up. Same with this one here. I'll take this focus. So you can see there is the one I bent up, and same with that one. And this one was on the bottom. You can see I kind of chewed it up a little bit, but same thing, I just kind of bent in. But that's what holds that in there, is you got those 3 clips, and there's no way of really opening all 3 of them at the same time to get that to pull off. So now with that out of there, let's go ahead and start removing the 4 screws. I'm going to start with the 2 hardest ones, which are going to be in the very back there. So if you notice, you're going to have 2 bolts right back in there. You can see those 2 there. Those are going to be a 10 millimeter. So let's go ahead and remove those now. I'm going to see if I can get a 1/4 inch ratchet back in here. Hopefully there's enough room to get those out of there. So the way I'm going to reach those 2 back bolts there is I got a 3/8 ratchet hooked up to a very long extension here, and then I got a swivel with a 10 millimeter on the end here. So hopefully this works. So I'm going to go right by the brake booster here and see if I can get on that very back one there. So it's going to be the hardest one here. Got to get on there just right. Okay. So now I'm on that very back bolt there, and luckily these aren't very tight at all here. So I'm just going to get it nice and loose here, and then I can reach back there and grab it, because you don't want to drop that and lose those bolts. So I'm going to say about right there, and then I'll do the same to this one right here. Get on there. Loosen that one up. Pull that out, and then I'll reach back there and grab them. Okay, so there's the first one. And just be careful, because there is a washer on these as well, so you don't want to drop that washer. So let me see if I can reach that very back one now. Okay, so there's that one. So the third one here, it's going to be on the side, just in front of those 2 we just pulled up here, but you can see it right there. So it's very close to this fuel rail line here. But I think if we get a 1/4 inch 10 millimeter in there, a deep well, I think we can get it out. I think there's going to be plenty of clearance, since 1/4 inch 10 millimeter is pretty skinny here. So if I just kind of move that line out of the way here, let me get my 10 millimeter on here. So it may actually go underneath here. It's still not the easiest. Okay, so I'm locked on there. Let's go ahead and loosen that up. And I suppose if you had to, you could probably maybe pull this, looks like an 8 millimeter bolt there. If you pull that, you could probably maybe get a little flex on the fuel rail line there. But I think this is gonna work. Getting it back in might be a little bit of a challenge, but let's try this. Okay, so again, I'm not going to pull that all the way out, because I want to use my fingers for that. And my socket kind of got stuck on there. I'll pull that off. And let's see if I can get my fingers in here now. It's just so hard getting your fingers in here. Okay, so there we go. So it is doable, guys. As you saw, just be careful on that line there. But same exact thing as the back ones there. So now we got one more. Okay, so that last one is going to be right down in there. So that one should be pretty easy here. So let's pull that one now. Okay, so there's that one. So now let's see if we can just pop this guy out of here. Just watch these fuel lines. So just kind of lift up and then just watch out because you will have oil there. So let me make sure I get some of that cleaned up. I don't want that getting all over the place. So just kind of stick that rag right there for now. And let's get the rest of this out of here. So watch your fuel lines. And there we go. And then if you notice, there is quite a bit of oil that comes out of there. So just be prepared for that. Like I said, tried to make the least amount of mess that I could. So I went ahead and took quite a few rags here and just soaked up all that oil, as you can see. So that's nice and clean inside there. You can see it just comes in through this hole here and then it kind of collects at the bottom there. So went ahead and cleaned that all up and then also wiped up any of this oil that kind of leaked down when I pulled that off. Okay, so now let's take a look at our old CCV box and then of course our new one here. So this new one got from Amazon. There is the part number. If you check out my description there, I'll put a link in there for this. So this is what Ford came up with for the 2023 through 24 Super Duties. And this, of course, is the previous generation, which ran from 2017 through 2022. This one wasn't as bad as the previous generation. So the first generation ran from 2011 through 2016. So if you guys are still running your crankcase ventilation box on your 2011 through 16 Super Duty, you definitely want to upgrade to this one, because the first generation, the crankcase pressures were out of the roof, especially at full throttle, and then even at idle they were pretty high. So if you check out a guy, his name is Technician Red, he's on YouTube. He tested all 3 generations of these CCV boxes and then a couple aftermarkets from SPE, and this new upgraded Ford one came out on top for the least amount of pressure in the crankcase at idle and full throttle. And then just taking a look at it here, you can see that it's way smaller than the previous generations. So it's going to create a little more room in the engine bay there. And the bolt holes, you can see, look a little different, but they are still going to line up. So this is going to line up in there. You can see this is a little bit different. Same with that, but it's still should line up correctly and fit on this 2019 with no issues. And the reason you want to do this upgrade is you don't want a lot of pressure in your crankcase. It starts to create leaks and everything else. Now the best thing to do, of course, is to just vent the pressure into the atmosphere, but of course that is illegal, and where I'm at, emissions are still intact, so we pretty much have to go with this route. So now let's grab our new box here. Now I did just take some fresh motor oil and I just kind of coated this O-ring right here, and then also this one here, just put a little thin coat of fresh motor oil on there. So let's get this in here, and obviously, as you can see, it's not going to be as big of a pain as the old one was. You can see it just slides right in there, really, with no issues. So just get that kind of lined up, and then get your other tube here. I want to make sure that's going underneath your intercooler pipe here. And then I'll go ahead and see if we can get this lined up here. You're going to want to kind of push that in because it's got to snap in there where that O-ring that we just lubed up is. So just kind of push down on that and it kind of seats in there. And you can see that our bolt holes do line up even though that was kind of curved. Now that's a lot easier to bolt on as well. And let's go ahead and start getting our bolts on here. So go ahead and get your bolts on here. Get those lined up. I'll just get them all started here. This one here is probably going to be a challenge getting in there. It actually wasn't too bad. And then of course those ones back there where you got to kind of go off a feel here. Just make sure you don't drop your bolt or anything in your washer on there. Okay, so I got all those pretty much started. I just double check this one in the back here. Just want to make sure I get a few threads on that one. Okay, so got all those started. So of course grab your 10mm swivel socket or your universal socket here. Let's go ahead and get on the first one there. Go ahead and tighten that one up. And you just want to get these snug. They weren't on there too tight, so just get them nice and snug and you'll be all right. See if I can get back onto the other one here. That one's kind of harder to see. So yeah, it's easier if you just get your other hand back in here, get your swivel socket on the actual bolt there, just to kind of hold that. And then go ahead and tighten that up. Okay, call that good. And then of course this one down here by your fuel rail, using your 1/4 inch 10mm. Squeeze that onto that one. And get that one snug. Okay, try to pull that off. The socket might get stuck on there though. There we go. And then of course your last one here right on top. And so if you guys notice, I did take some fresh motor oil and just coated that red O-ring in there as well, so that slides on there smoothly. And if you notice, this does have the 3 jaws, just like the old one, kind of holding it on. They look to be a little different though. As far as removing this one, looks like it might be a little bit of a challenge there. Not sure if this is the one where you can twist and it kind of unlocks and you can pull off, but let's go ahead and get it on here now and You want to make sure this is all on here correctly before you snap that on, because if you snap that back on, there's no going back. So you just want to make sure that you're underneath your intercooler pipe here, and then also your fuel line here. This is going to go on the outside of that, and make sure this one is on the outside as well. So I think we're good to go. So let's go ahead and push this one on, lock it in. And it's still kind of hard to get your hands in here. I might need to set my camera down here. Let's see if I can get this pushed on at both hands there. So it kind of slides on there, but I think I just need to go a little more. Okay, there we go. So I just kind of slid it on there, and now it's on there. Just want to pull on that. Didn't really hear a click or anything, but it's definitely on there now. See, I can't pull that off, so I think we're good. So then go ahead and grab your old fuel filter, or now would be a perfect time to replace it if you guys wanted to. You're gonna set this down in there. Just try not to spill here. So go ahead and drop that down in there. You want to turn it all the way to where it drops down like that. Go ahead and turn that clockwise until it kind of locks there. Then you can go ahead and get your lines back on here. Pop those on. Same with this one here. Pop that on there. There we go. And then also your red one here. There we go. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start it. I'm just going to go ahead and cycle this a couple times though, just to get that fuel filter filled back up. You can actually hear it buzzing and getting some of the bubbles out of there. So I'll do that a few times here. And you can actually hear the fuel down there. Okay, so let's go ahead and give that a try. And then you just want to take a look. Make sure you don't got any leaks around your fuel filter. And make sure you're not leaking any oil out of that crankcase ventilation box there. So that all looks good. Back in there as well. And we should be good. You can see no check engine light, nothing like that. So go ahead and shut this off. And then you also just check underneath here. So after I pulled that old one off, the oil started running down along here. So you guys just may want to make sure you wipe any of this up, because that just works its way down. It might make a mess on your driveway over time. Okay guys, that's going to wrap up the video. Again, this was a 2019 Ford F350 with the 6.7 liter Power Stroke. Went ahead and showed you how to upgrade the CCV box, so the crankcase ventilation box, and upgraded that to the 23 and plus Super Duties. And I highly recommend this upgrade, like I said earlier, guys, especially for you first gen ones from 2011 through 2016. Just do yourself a favor, swap this out. It doesn't take very long, and this will help you prevent oil leaks and everything else. Even the second gen ones, guys, like this truck here, like I said, it's still not the greatest on the crankcase pressure. So go ahead and swap this out. I'm hoping that this video does help you out. Some of my camera angles were just very hard to get in there, so hopefully it wasn't too shaky. But again, hopefully this helps you out. And if it does, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, check out some of my other videos. I got quite a few on this truck alone, so check those out when you get a chance, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.